Hi, everyone. If this is your first time tapping with me, welcome. If you've been tapping with me for quite some time, you're already a member of Tapping with T, welcome back. Good to see you. I wanted to touch on something that comes up often, and it's this fear of symptoms. And for those of you that have been working on and trying to find greater ease and greater relief from symptoms, you are probably very familiar with what it's like to have flare ups, to have symptoms that just feel really scary, frustrating, debilitating, and maybe it feels like it prevents you from living the life that you want. If that's the case, this tapping sequence is for you. And if this is the first video that you are joining along for, all you have to do is tap along and repeat after me. That's it. And if you are already so familiar with this, wonderful. You can even close your eyes. You can go at your own pace. If there's a tapping point that we touch on that actually feels really good and cathartic, stay there for a bit. And if you hear a cat meowing in the background, that's Willard. So let's start by rolling out the shoulders, stretching out the neck, just some gentle movement. And when you're ready, take a deep breath in. Slow exhale. Deep breath in together. Maybe a yawn. Yeah, maybe two yawns. That was a double yawn. And one more together. Deep breath in. Slow exhale. And when you're ready, repeating after me. I recognize that I get pretty terrified with certain symptoms. And I'm learning to love and accept myself in this process. I recognize that I start to spiral and panic and get swept away by worst case scenarios. And even with that, I'm learning to love and accept myself. I recognize that I start to hyperfixate trying to find solutions for these symptoms. And even though I do that, I'm learning to love and accept myself. Even when it feels hard to love and accept myself, when I feel so symptomatic and so unwell, I'm learning to trust this experience and to find a sense of peace and safety even when things don't feel great. And now moving to that eyebrow point, repeating after me. It's right on the edge of the eyebrow. All of the panic. Am I going to get worse? Is this just how life is now? Do I need to research more? All of the worst case scenario thinking. Do I need to be stricter with my diet? Do I need to find another doctor or another protocol? It feels like I can't enjoy my life until these symptoms go away. And if I'm being honest, I really do not like these symptoms. Sometimes I feel jealous of other people that don't have to deal with this. Sometimes I feel like there's something wrong with me. Sometimes it feels like I'm never going to heal. And ironically, the harder I try to fix and the harder I try to feel better, the worse I feel. Making healing my full-time job hasn't helped. The more I try to fix, the more I try to get rid of these symptoms, the worse I feel. Sometimes it's all I think about from the moment I wake up. Do I feel worse than yesterday? Am I more tired than yesterday? I honor and acknowledge how exhausting it is to think and be this way. And I'm ready to make space for something different. What if I don't actually have to try to fix or solve any of this? What if, even though these sensations and symptoms feel scary, what if that's all they are? Symptoms and sensations. What if the scariest part is the story I make about it? What would it be like to notice a symptom and actually not need to fix it? To notice it with curiosity. Oh, interesting. And instead of fixing it, or researching it, or trying to take a supplement, or trying to make it go away, what if I practice just allowing the symptom to be there just as it is? What if the symptom is not here to hurt me? What would it be like to soften around the symptom? Because sometimes I wonder, if I didn't have all of these symptoms, what would I be doing with my free time? What would I be doing for fun? What kind of hobbies would I have? Sometimes that feels impossible to think about because the symptoms feel so distracting and so debilitating. But just for this moment, I will let myself imagine without limitation, what would I be doing? Who would I be if these symptoms were no longer taking up 99% of my mental space? And what if I don't need to wait to be perfectly healed to actually start moving in that direction? I have evidence that hyper-focusing on my symptoms does not make them go away. Even when my brain starts to spiral, I am in fact safe, despite not feeling the best. Because what if it's not, how do I make these symptoms go away? How do I fix this? How do I get out of this situation? What if the question is actually, Who do I get to become in this process so that I can hold all of this with ease? So that I'm too busy living my life to even think about my symptoms. Maybe to be amazed that the more I focus on living my life, the less distracting and less present the symptoms become. Interesting. What if it's not about hyperfixating and researching? If that was the solution, it probably would have worked by now. What if it's time to refocus? Who would I be? How would I be showing up to life without symptoms? What if I take the smallest step towards that version of me? And I let myself remember, if I have time to worry and panic about these symptoms, I'm actually not in any immediate danger. If my house were burning down, I wouldn't have time to be worrying about my symptoms. I am actually safe, even when I'm uncomfortable. And I choose to reclaim my life. These symptoms do not need to stop me from stepping into the life that I want to be living. Because I actually don't need to feel perfect to move forward. In fact, moving forward when I don't feel perfect is the next best move. Who do I get to become in this process? Learning to reclaim my life. No matter how I feel, no matter how tired or symptomatic I might be, I choose to allow whatever is arising to soften into what is, to make space for these symptoms to ebb and flow, and to ask myself, who do I get to be right now? Who do I get to become right now? So that when I look back on this time, I feel so proud of how I showed up despite the circumstances. When you're ready, squeeze that wrist, take a deep breath in. Slow exhale. Just move the shoulders if you want. And I just want to remind you that actually the goal with tapping isn't to hurry up and fix and feel better. It can sometimes allow for that shift, absolutely. But what we're actually building is something more powerful. It's the ability to soften and find safety no matter what. To feel a sense of peace and groundedness no matter what our bodies are doing, no matter what is happening in our life. And as a side effect, our nervous system learns to be resilient and robust so that we really can handle whatever life brings us. So your little homework assignment is to start asking yourself, if these symptoms do not have to hold me back, if I actually don't need to be afraid of them, I don't have to like them, but if I don't need to be afraid of them, if I don't need to put my life on hold anymore, then what? And see where it leads you. You might find yourself picking up a hobby that you used to love doing, and as a side effect, feeling better. You might find yourself saying yes to things that you used to say, well, I'll do that when I'm healthy. And again, you find yourself feeling better. You might notice that the less you research, the less you hyper focus on diet and supplements, the more engaged with life you are, and you start to feel better. Because if you've tried the hyperfixation, the fear, the panic, the spirals, and it's actually made things worse, let's try something different just to experiment, just to see. And I will leave it at that for today. And if you liked this video, I post a new video every single week on tapping with tea. I also host group workshops where we dive into more nuanced topics and close the workshops with an extended tapping sequence. And I also work one-to-one. So there are some options for you. But other than that, have a beautiful day. You've got a lot to play with. Not too much, just the right amount. Ta-ta for now.
Some scrub, Jay. We've got some plank, some learning, got some videos, some slippers.